What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. Starting off with Luka Vuskovic. We brought you the news yesterday regarding his injury with no return date in sight. There has been two updates regarding his injury. First, Croatian outlet Sportske Novosti has now played down any concerns about Vusković's knee and claimed he would have likely had a break around now after a long, tough season anyway due to his age and the prospect of playing at the World Cup with Croatia to come. A slight ligament strain was diagnosed in his knee after that training knock, and the dialogue between Spurs and Hamburg, it was agreed to rest the centre-back for 3 or 4 matches before he returns for the final couple games of the campaign. That would mean returning for the penultimate match of the season against Freiburg on May the 10th, although the Croatian outlet also noted that with just 5 points between Hamburg and the relegation playoff spot, he might have to come back a little sooner if things continue to take a turn for the worse regarding the results. However, a local Hamburg media outlet claimed that the final decision will rest with Tottenham, who they say have inserted a clause in his loan deal that gives them final say over when he can return from any injury. Such clauses are commonplace in loan agreements, and the medical staff of both clubs are said to be in constant communication and evaluating the latest MRI scans before Spurs give him the green light to return. The Croatian and German reports differ over whether Vuskovic is still feeling the pain in his knee, and those from his country suggesting he isn't, while the German ones say he is. Ultimately, it will be Tottenham who make the final call on the player, who looks set to become a star if he continues on his current pathway. So Tottenham have that final say.
I've never heard of that before. I mean, I've obviously heard of players out on loan who've been injured going back to their parent clubs after a serious injury to get treatment. We have heard of those kind of instances. I've never heard of a parent club having the final say of whether a player is fit to play after an injury and preventing the club who's current loan out playing him if they feel like he's fit. I've never heard of that kind of situation before. But they say it's commonplace, so maybe that is more common than we think it is. But imagine we had a loan player and we were in in an unbelievable situation, or a close situation, and we think he's fit, yet the parent club say no, you can't play him. And
I kind of wish it happened more often for us, to be honest, because maybe a little niggle to Moani. PSG is saying nah, Moani's not fit enough to play. I mean, that'll be music to all our ears, to be fair.
Well, we're the ones in charge of whether to play him or not, so it's up to Spurs. But I just feel like we would be furious, wouldn't we? Imagine we had a lone player who's doing really well as Vuskovic is, and we have some massive games coming up and we think he can play, and yet the parent club is saying no, we don't feel like he's fit enough, even though, they're not the one. I don't know, are they the ones making the medical assessments? I mean, has he gone back to Tottenham? Do Tottenham have medical staff out there? Are they relying on the medical reports from the Hamburg medical staff? Are they doing external work or reports on him? It's a very strange situation. I think the bottom line is it's pretty good news that it's not as serious as that people are fearing, and that he should be back regardless this season. Resting for 3 or 4 games, is he resting or recovering? It's a bit confusing. Has he got an injury or doesn't he? Because it sounds like he does have a bit of an injury, which would mean he's recovering.
There's conflicting reports. In Germany that they're saying that he is feeling pain in the knee, and in Croatia that they're saying he's not feeling pain in the knee.
But they did say he's had a slight ligament strain.
Yeah.
So that is something.
But there's 2 conflicting reports here.
So is there a ligament strain or
we don't know. It depends which one you want to believe.
But either way, I'm glad he's going to be fit for the World Cup. Let's hope Hamburg don't have to be in a situation where they have to rush him back because they're getting closer and closer to the relegation zone. Let's hope they don't put that pressure on him. So it's a waiting game. Obviously, he's become so important to them that maybe him being out will cost them points, and the likelihood is it very well could. So,
I think it already has.
That's not a great situation to be in, but I just hope that he's fit enough to be at that World Cup, and I'm really excited to see him on the big stage.
Yeah, me as well. But I like this little clause that Spurs have inserted. If it is true that, we're making them be extra cautious with him, because we don't want him aggravating anything and, potentially even being out of the World Cup or causing a long-term injury. I think because they're so much better with Vuskovic. The stats bear that out as well. So it's very the risk of them just throwing him in there when he's like kind of 80% fit and recurring an injury. But you know, with the Spurs medical team, like, could you even trust them to make that decision?
Exactly. Who do you trust to say when a player's fully fit or not? The Hamburg medical team or the Tottenham medical team?
The thing is, right, well, inside Spurs, we're risking it for Spurs, like not risking it for Hamburg. So you'd expect them to be extra cautious when it's like going on the pitch for Hamburg.
Yeah, I understand that. But we've obviously suffered greatly at the hands of our medical team for a few years now. And it's been an absolute disaster, the amount of injuries. And the most frustrating one is players reoccurring injuries when they come back. It's happened so many times now. So, look, maybe they are being extra cautious, which I'm happy about.
Sounds that way anyway.
Yeah, I just wish some of that caution got applied to their own players.
I know. But look, there's obviously very high hopes for Luka Vuskovic inside Tottenham and outside of Tottenham as well. And I think they do need to be extra cautious with him because we've got a supreme talent on our hands.
Absolutely.
George Abbott, not so good news on him. He's suffered a serious quad injury which will keep him out until pre-season, bringing a premature end to his campaign, and he has now returned to Tottenham.
Second time this season he's returned to Tottenham.
Yeah, I know. It's been a really bad season for George Abbott. Not so much on the pitch. When he's been on the pitch, he's been pretty good. But he's had 2 serious injuries this season. He's now going to be out for the next 2 to 3 months, which is not great for him. So he had 11 games at Wickham and 10 games at Mansfield, both cut short through injury.
Yeah, and by and large, from what I've read, he's done really, as you say, he's done really well when he's been on the pitch and really looked like he was at home, the next level up from Notts County, where he was at last season, where he did really well and was getting rave reviews, got the step up to League One. He seems to be accustomed to that level. So the fact that it's injuries that have held him back this season has got to be really gutting because he seems to be developing really nicely. A young player who's obviously captain of our at youth level for us and kind of versatile player, but he's kind of found a home more in the central midfield at the moment. Seems to be a bit of a leader, a young player who looks to have a bright future. Let's just hope this season is, from an injury point of view, just a bit of a blip than something that's more reoccurring.
Yeah, you hope so, but you know, he needs to start getting regular game time. Obviously, it's impossible to do that when you're injured. But next season, you know, we need to try and get these injuries behind him and him to have a consistent season because there is a player in there. There's a big player in there if we can get him fit and developing well. But you know, this year would have stunted his development for sure.
If we go down, we keep him around.
Yeah, probably. I would. You know, leadership ability, knows what it means to be Spurs. I think there's a lot of players within that under-21 team that won the league that will be sticking around if we are to get relegated.
Yep.
And I think they could all have big impacts for us as well. You know, look at the likes of Will Lancashire, look at the likes of Jamie Donnelly, both doing very well for Oxford right now. You know, Jamie Donnelly, he had such a horror season up until a few weeks ago when he, you know, started to get a look in at Oxford. Even when he went to Oxford, you know, it was stop-start through injury. He got injured in his first game. So it's been a bit of a horror season for him on the back of that great loan spell at Leyton Orient. But he's starting to make a name for himself at Oxford now. You got Will Lancashire, you got Mikey Moore. You know, there's so much talent. You got Tyrese Hall. There's so much talent there that definitely Spurs can use in the Championship. But let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, Ashley Phillips is up for Young Player of the Year, isn't he? He's doing brilliant. You know, I think he's one maybe we'd look to sell if we stayed up, but if we go down, he's definitely one we should use. So there's so much, as you say, there's so much talent, which is just begging to be used, isn't it? And it's a shame more of them haven't got opportunities. But I mean, I don't want them to have those opportunities with us in the Championship, but at least you'd think that a lot of those young players will have to be used.
What I would say, though, like, as much as I don't want it to happen, a year in the Championship with all these players will do the development of these players so good. You know what I mean? If they could get consistent minutes for Tottenham in the Championship and just even broaden that affinity with the club and actually do it for the first team.
Under De Zerbi as well.
It would be fantastic for their development. It really would do. And, you know, you're not forgetting that the other players that are still at the club right now that are making waves in the youth academy, like Tynan Thompson, Mason Mellier's just started to play a couple of games now. James Wilson, who came in January, he's doing really well for the under-21s. Oliver Boast, who we brought in from Leeds last year as well, he's doing really well. So we've got another crop coming through as well.
Even more like Kramaric scored again.
Kramaric, yeah.
He scored again. He's been what a loan.
Yeah, he's been fantastic.
Smashing it. Another goal on the weekend. I know Iro scored 2 on his debut. I don't know how he's done since, but he's doing quite well there as well at Mansfield. So there's so many players that we've got performing at a really good level at the moment in the Football League.
Yeah, I believe Oliver Iro, that's the only 2 goals he did score. But it was an unbelievable debut from him. But yeah, there's so much talent that needs to be unearthed at Hotspur Way. It's just a case of, look, not all of them are going to make it at Tottenham, but I think a lot of them will actually make it in professional football. So it's a case of Spurs can make a pretty penny from a lot of them as well.
I think Kramaric, he joined in Jan, didn't he? And he's on 6 goals already.
Did he join in Jan? Oh, for this loan spell, yeah.
Yeah, and he's on 6 goals, so he's getting knocking on the door on double figures already. It's just pretty crazy. No one's really talking about it, but fair play to him.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know your thoughts regarding those situations in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.